The most crucial XRP Ripple video is this one. The court ruling in Ripple v. SEC has been delayed once more, but don't worry, there is still much to consider. Experts are certain that the price of XRP will continue to rise to previously unheard-of levels despite this delay. Forecasts indicate that the value of the XRP Ripple coin may rise to $37,500. Doesn't that sound unbelievable? However, how can that be possible? This video contains all of the answers. Let's dissect it in detail. Disclaimer. Another surprising development has emerged in the legal battle between Ripple Labs and the SEC, one that might mark the start of the end for a case that has shaped the current discussion around crypto legislation. The entire digital asset community took notice of Ripple and the SEC's decision to formally request a pause in the appeals process in a combined status report they filed with the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. This is more than just a holdup. It's a strategic change that heavily relies on Judge Analisa Torres's upcoming ruling. The parties are specifically anticipating an indicative ruling, which is a procedural tool that enables the district court to indicate its decision on a motion in the event that the case is sent back down by the appeal court. In this regard, Ripple has submitted a motion that might significantly change the course of the case. It is most likely related to the remedies phase, which establishes fines and injunctions for institutional XRP sales. Intense speculation has been stoked in the cryptocurrency community by the combined request. Some others think it indicates that negotiations are taking place behind closed doors and that a resolution is becoming more likely. The XRP architect mentioned that Ripple, the SEC, and X recently submitted a combined status report asking for an appeals pause. On a crucial issue, they are awaiting a district court decision. This might mean that their protracted legal dispute over XRP has been resolved. A victory for the clarity of crypto? The feeling was echoed by John Squire, who questioned whether a significant storyline surprise was imminent. It feels like way, for sure. The SEC acknowledged that Judge Torres's suggestive decision would significantly impact its case by consenting to halt its own appeal, something it rarely does. While neither side is giving up, this halt does imply that they are seeking judicial clarification before devoting additional time and funds to appeals. The way U.S. courts and authorities handle digital assets has already been profoundly impacted by the case. Judge Torres made a historic distinction in his July 2023 opinion. Institutional sales of XRP were securities transactions, whereas programmatic sales on exchanges were not. The crypto sector has achieved a partial but significant success as a result of that split ruling, which has acted as a legal model for future challenges. Never forget, XRP Avengers tweeted, there is no security in XRP. The community has steadfastly adhered to that assertion, viewing the judge's ruling as confirming XRP's status as a digital currency as opposed to an unregistered security. However, the battle is far from done. The remedies phase, which will decide if Ripple is subject to monetary fines or operating limitations because of its previous sales tactics, looms huge. The SEC may be forced to return to the negotiation table if Judge Torres renders a favorable suggestive ruling, implying that she may minimize or reject some of the penalties the SEC has demanded. On the other hand, if the SEC wins, the case might pick up speed again, with the appeal being revived and a drawn-out legal struggle extending into 2026. The wider ramifications for the cryptocurrency market, in addition to the procedural nuances, are what make this moment so crucial. Many people believe that the SEC v. Ripple case serves as a litmus test for how far regulators can extend the scope of current securities regulations to include digital assets. If Ripple's case is successful, other cryptocurrency initiatives may be encouraged to resist enforcement efforts and pursue regulatory reform. However, a loss might give the SEC the confidence to take on comparable cases with more force, which would further stifle innovation in the U.S. market. All eyes are on the court for the time being. The next joint status report is due on August 15th, which is the next important date. A lot will depend on Judge Torres's signals between now and then. The stakes are extremely high, not only for Ripple but also for the future of cryptocurrency regulation in the U.S., regardless of whether this results in a final settlement or a more intense court battle. This is where things start to become really fascinating, though. Despite the behind-the-scenes courtroom turmoil, XRP supporters aren't giving up. Experts and seasoned analysts are really more optimistic than before. They view this legal stop as the quiet before the storm rather than a setback. And if they are correct, the market as a whole might be shocked by XRP's next move. Don't repeat your mistakes if you missed out on Bitcoin. Edo Farina tweeted, "XRP is the final opportunity," expressing the urgency and confidence of an increasing number of investors who think XRP is about to undergo a significant financial reawakening. They may also be correct. XRP may be preparing for the largest shift in its history if the analysts and influencers who are overflowing the market with audacious forecasts are even partially accurate. The tightening of XRP's Bollinger Bands, an antiquated technical indicator that frequently predicts an impending eruption in price volatility, was noted by prominent chart watcher Steph. He teased, "Massive move loaded." The sentiment was repeated by others. Another well-known person in the XRP community, Monix, stated it plainly. "The patient alone will prevail." The most difficult test of the impatient's life is about to begin. However, a tweet from 25 Hours Awake, claiming that a Fox News reporter confirmed a buyback of XRP at $37,500 per token, starting in just 48 hours, may have been the most contentious factor. It fueled an already blazing fire of expectation, even though there has been no official confirmation and many are labeling it wild speculation. The managing director of Digital Ascension Group, Jake Claver, has fueled the discussion further by stating that XRP should and could hit $10,000 a coin, not as a pump, but as a practical requirement. His reasoning is based on practicality rather than fiction. He referenced the parallel made by David Schwartz, CTO of Ripple. A complete million tokens would be needed to transfer $1 million if XRP stays at Waller. However, you will require a significantly smaller number of tokens to transfer the same amount of money if the price of XRP rises. Just 100,000 XRP and 1,000 tokens are required at $10 and $1,000 per coin, respectively. Claver maintained that XRP needs to reach a high price in order to effectively support large institutional-level transactions, particularly if it is to operate as the foundation for international settlements and cross-border payments. He asserted that XRP at $2 is insufficient. Simply said, there isn't enough liquidity to sustain trillion-dollar flows. According to his calculations, a system with $10,000 per XRP could sustain more than $585 trillion in notional liquidity, which would be sufficient to lubricate the wheels of international banking. That's where things start to go crazy. Claver maintains that XRP is designed to reach these high levels, but detractors are blasting the notion as absurd. A market value of $500 trillion, or more than all of the world's money and assets combined, would be represented by a $10,000 XRP. The story has been flatly rejected by skeptics such as Alex Carrico, the former CEO of an Australian stock company. Carrico cautioned against what he perceives to be worthless hype, saying it's regrettable to see individuals being fed the hope that $10,000 XRP would arrive tomorrow. Claver and other XRP maximalists, however, disagree with the conventional method of determining market capitalization. They contend that a totally different pricing model is warranted due to XRP's involvement in utility-based transactions rather than merely speculation. They say it's not about cash inflows from investors. It concerns large-scale institutional utilities. It's unclear if XRP will end up at $10,000